safety from coast to coast to coast.
The honourable member for Regina, Lewvan.
Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to ask again why the federal government continues to exclude Regina from extended employment insurance benefits. The federal budget extended employment insurance for certain regions in response to the drop in oil prices. However, it left out Edmonton, southern Saskatchewan, and Regina. The NDP challenged those exclusions, and the government eventually added Edmonton and southern Saskatchewan. But it still left out Regina. Madam Speaker, of 8 EI regions across Alberta and Saskatchewan, 7 are now receiving the benefit extension. Regina is the only one that has been kept out. This anomaly has real consequences for laid-off workers and their families. I spent the summer knocking on doors in Regina, Lewvan, and talking to constituents. I spoke to many people who are out of work, are on employment insurance, and are about to run out of benefits. If they lived in any other part of the province, they would have several extra weeks of benefits available. But because the federal government has left out Regina, they are now at risk of running out. Madam Speaker, these are not just anecdotes. Statistics Canada's most recent report indicates that EI use has increased more in Regina than in the rest of the province. Specifically, over the past year, the number of workers receiving EI was up by 32% in Regina, 25% in Saskatoon, 20% in smaller Saskatchewan cities, and 13% in rural Saskatchewan. So despite experiencing the sharpest jump in EI use, Regina remains the only part of the province left out of extended EI benefits. Madam Speaker, on June 24th, Evraz Steel, Regina's largest private sector employer, wrote to the Minister of Employment and copied Regina's members of Parliament. The company explained that it has laid off workers due to the drop in energy prices and asking the government to help these workers by including Regina in extended benefits. On June 27th, the Minister's office acknowledged receipt of the letter. However, as of today, the company reports not having received a response from the Minister or from her department.
Shame.
When I say the government is ignoring Regina, that's not an overstatement or a metaphor. It's a literal description of what's happening. So, Madam Speaker, I want to ask the government to reconsider whether it makes sense to exclude the part of Saskatchewan that has suffered the sharpest increase in employment insurance use. The government eventually did the right thing by including all of Alberta in extended EI benefits. It should do the same for Saskatchewan, Madam Speaker.
Hear, hear. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Indigenous and Northern Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm pleased to respond to the adjournment motion question put forward by the Honourable Member for Regina, Lewvan. Let me assure the members of this House that we are giving Canadians the help they need right now. We understand that employment insurance is a critical program, critical to supporting Canadians that are faced with job loss or life events, and we have responded in all regions of the country where there has been these types of extreme job loss. Improving access and flexibility in the EI program to better support the needs of Canadians are indeed a top priority for this government. Let's look at the facts. While the level of unemployment is in certain areas of the country is very troubling, it's clear that EI is supporting those who need it. Today, there is double the number of EI claimants in Alberta compared to a year ago, and in recent months, the number of claimants is also up by roughly 30% in Saskatchewan. Mr. Speaker, helping Saskatchewan isn't just about paying out benefits. We're attacking this issue from all angles, and we are working with the province to understand and manage the effects of the economic situation. We've been helping match people with jobs that are available within the regions in which they live, and our government is also monitoring the level of employment and unemployment right across the country. The Prime Minister took a positive step by offering support to Western provinces that were hit hard by the economic situation. And as you can see, Mr. Speaker, we have been taking action as these troubling circumstances arise. These measures are only an immediate response, but we are committed to doing more. As announced in the federal budget, the amount of EI regular benefits have been expanded by 5 weeks, up to a maximum of 50 weeks for eligible claimants in 12 EI economic regions that have experienced sustained increases in unemployment. Furthermore, we also recently extended EI benefits to 3 new employment insurance economic regions to reflect the impact of the downturn in oil commodity prices. We are clearly modernizing the employment insurance program, and these changes will improve EI and make it more fair, flexible, and responsive to the needs of Canadians. First, we are eliminating discrimination against workers who are newly entering or re-entering the workforce. Next, we are modifying the changes that came into force in 2012 that forced unemployed workers to move away from their communities and take lower-paying jobs. That was not right, and we have corrected it. Mr. Speaker, our government is also providing more flexible parental benefits and more accessible compassionate care benefits, something Canadians have been asking for as reforms under the EI program. This government knows that when it comes to collecting EI benefits, time is of the essence, and Canadians expect to receive their benefits as quickly as possible, especially when they have lost their job unexpectedly. That's why our government is reducing the EI waiting period from 1 week and improving service standards to all regions of the country. So efforts are already underway to improve service delivery and streamline program rules, and I hope that these changes are supported by
the honourable member for Regina Lewvan.
Well, Madam Speaker, I would thank the member opposite for that laundry list of changes that the federal government is making to employment insurance. But I really didn't hear any answer to the question of why Regina is being left out of the benefit extension. We didn't hear on what criteria 7 EI regions across Alberta and Saskatchewan are getting extra weeks of benefits and Regina isn't. We just really haven't heard an answer to the issue that I raised at all. What we did hear was a suggestion that the government is continuing to monitor the situation and will take action. And I would interpret that, Madam Speaker, as meaning that the government might be willing to extend benefits to Regina at some point in the future, which is, a very hopeful thought. However, the Prime Minister, in extending benefits to 3 additional regions beyond those in the budget, indicated that no more regions would be added. So I'd like to hear some clarification on that, and we should end discrimination against
Secretary to the Minister of Indigenous and Northern Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to point out again for the member opposite that the number of EI claimants in Saskatchewan has already increased in recent months by 30%. I also want to point out that improving our service delivery and streamlining the program rules under the EI program. As a result of that, we have invested $92 million over the next 2 years to meet the increase for demand on employment insurance claims, to ensure better processing and to improve access for services for Canadians that need to use the employment insurance call centres. Mr. Speaker, our government is committed to supporting all Canadians, and that is not just through the employment insurance program, although it is a key proponent, especially for those who lose their jobs. But we know that deteriorating economic conditions and changes in the labour market do have an impact, and that's why, as the Government of Canada, we have stepped up in many regions across Canada to help reduce this problem.
The honourable member for Edmonton Strathcona.